This meeting to order. First order of business is the approval of the August 26, 2025 minutes. Is there a motion? Member Daley, Member Blair. Any comments, corrections, concerns? Seeing none, please cast your vote. Minutes pass, all ayes. So we'll get to informational items. We're going to kind of move some things around. We have some honored guests today. Passenger rail update. Welcome, Madam Mayor, City Manager. It's a pleasure to have you at the courthouse to give us an update. So want to move them first. It's council night, and they're also here taking their time out today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorary members of the Peoria County Board. Thank you for having us. Mr. Patrick Urick, our city manager, joins me today. Just to give some quick background on the Passenger Rail Initiative, we call it the Peoria Corridor from Peoria to Chicago. This initiative actually began 4 years ago in August 2021. So we've been at this for a while as the largest metropolitan area in Illinois without passenger rail service. Rayla Hood and I teamed up at that time and formed a committee called the Peoria Passenger Rail Leadership Team. The committee is comprised of elected officials on both sides of the aisles, very bipartisan initiative, as well as key stakeholders in business, in labor, in education, and other areas, stakeholders within our city, and eventually through the state of Illinois leading up to Union Station in Chicago. We started with an IDOT feasibility study in 2022. IDOT paid for the study, and the study had strong indicators that this project would be feasible, that it would be an economic driver for our area. The study did what I guess is called a economic feasibility study that showed how this would drive economics to our area, drive business, drive visitors, improve hospitality and other areas. And so from that step, we moved on to becoming part of the Illinois passenger rail, what's it called? State Rail Plan, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Manager. So we became part of the State Rail Plan and ultimately applied for a federal grant to become a federal project. I provided a copy of the list of supporters of the project when we applied for the federal project through the bipartisan infrastructure opportunity. And basically, it's everybody from the governor to elected officials throughout the corridor, and that corridor is Peoria to Morris to Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru, up through Joliet, and ultimately into Union Station. Initially, we thought that we had to basically have a project that got us all the way to Chicago, but we've learned over the past year that we only have to get to Joliet. And from Joliet, IDOT and the federal government and other partners get us into Chicago. So it's not as big of an effort as what we initially thought. We were one of 66 projects that were selected nationwide as a corridor. That came with 3 steps. It came with initial funding of $500,000 by the federal government for step 1, where we did not have to put in cash. Then it came with, you move from step 1 to step 2, which is developing the service delivery plan. And then you move from step 2 to step 3, which is the pre-engineering and pre-environmental studies that take place. And there's timelines associated, or estimated timelines associated with each of those. We thank you for being a partner in this effort. The county has been there from the very beginning. The Tri-County Regional Planning Commission has been there from the very beginning, and other municipalities in our region have also shown strong support. And along that corridor, we've had support both from elected officials as well from business and industry. I'm going to turn it over to the city manager, who can give more details and talk about the financing aspect.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, all members of the committee, and Mr. Chairman, Mr. Administrator. As the Mayor mentioned, the Service Development Plan is the second step in this process. It's the more detailed analysis that needs to be done. It's a 30-month process in terms of putting together that plan. With it, they start to look at what our route options are, where the station locations need to be, what do the service operations look like, what are the costs and the financing, and everything that's kind of goes along with kind of the rail system. That phase, they're estimating it's going to be about $4 million to do that work, which would necessitate then that we would have to come up with about $400,000 of local funds. When we did the initial feasibility study, we reached out to a number of different entities to ask for their support for the rail project. And the county graciously supplied $50,000 for part of that match. We put in $100,000. Tri-County Regional Planning Commission put in $50,000, and then we got $50,000. We got a little bit more than that, I think, from the communities up north, the North Central Illinois Council of Governments, and then the villages of Peru, LaSalle, Utica, Ottawa, and Morris. They all kicked in as well as part of that because they're along the railroad, and so they looked at that as being part of the plan. So we spent about $206,000 on that, so we still have about $53,000 that's unspent. So we would apply that towards the local match for step 2. So at some point, we're still waiting on the approval of step 1, and we think that's going to come probably in the first part of 2026. We would need to update a new intergovernmental agreement between all of the entities that signed off in the first part and ask for their participation. It is something, though, I also think that we can do over multiple fiscal years because we're looking at 30 months to get this completed. So we don't need, in our request would be if the county would consider another $50,000, but it doesn't have to necessarily be all up front. We could do it over a series of fiscal years with that to minimize the amount of that initial downstroke. So the city anticipates that we would be putting in $186,000 towards that, and really just asking for that consideration. And then once we move into step 3, as the mayor mentioned, that's where we start to do the pre-engineering, preliminary engineering work and get the environmental clearances. That's where this becomes a bigger project and really probably shifts towards the state taking over and making that match because the numbers get significantly higher. I think the estimates that they have are $25 million step 3 with about a $5 million state and local match. So that's going to be considerably larger as we look at that as we move forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Manager, questions? Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Patrick, what's the total cost that they're estimating to put this in?
Thank you. The total cost that we had in the feasibility study was in the area of, I believe it was $1.5 billion is what we were looking at, but that included a significant amount of that work that was going into Joliet, and from Joliet into Chicago. With all of the train traffic in and out of Chicago, the mayor mentioned there were like 66 grants for the new service corridors, like 7 tied into Chicago because there's so many different rail routes that come in and out of Chicago. So the state is really taking on that responsibility. So that's going to lower the amount that is going to be needed to get service to and from Peoria. I think we may be, it'll probably be around $1 billion, but $1 billion. Yeah.
That's with a 45.
Yeah, $1 billion with a B.
and that's with a 45% contingency
Yeah.
on it, which is pretty high. I would add that there's been some other studies that have been taking place relative to stations in Peoria. There was a grant provided of $80,000 provided by Tri-County Regional Planning to study potential stations in Peoria. They identified 3 sites: the current post office, the old, Caterpillar lot, I think it was, and then across from the Gateway building, and then the restaurant, which was the old
The river
Union
station.
River Station. Yes, those were 3 sites that were looked at, and then up north with the northern governments, they also put aside funding for sites. Amtrak has come down. We went on a tour with Amtrak. We met with Metra. Uh, we have not determined an operator yet. That will happen in step 2, but that's still up in the air on who the operator would actually be.
Thank you. Other questions?
You might ask, what's the delay? There is some delay because we had anticipated having step 1 wrapped up by now and being kind of into the initial parts of step 2. But there's some negotiations that are going on between our team and the freight rail providers, owners, because you have to make deals with the freights. They own much of the rail involved here. And so those negotiations are taking place. They've been pushed by the federal government that we need to make some arrangements, and they'll be involved in some of those negotiations as well.
Member Ricker.
I guess maybe you should elaborate on that, Mayor. Today, that line or that path is owned by the freight line. Is the concept that it would be a shared, the new line that would be freight and passenger would be shared, and is it 2 sets of tracks, or is it a single up and back track? Just kind of give a little more around that, please.
Definitely shared, just like it is with Amtrak and with Metra through agreements.
Mhm.
I think CSX is kind of owns most of that track between here and Joliet. So they're the ones that we're having most conversations with. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I was just going to add that generally what's happened is the freight, in order to operate at a passenger level, there needs to be some significant capital investments made into the rail lines. And I think most of the position of the freight operators has been, it's going to be on the nickel of the public bodies that want to put in passenger rail. So that was what happened between the Iowa Interstate. The Iowa Interstate has a portion that gets us up to the CSX line that runs through most of Peoria County and further north. And they've looked at it for the line that's going out to the Quad Cities, and the negotiations took a while. I mean, because they were basically telling the state, you need to pay for everything, all the improvements that you can make.
Okay, so I've noticed that the Iowa Interstate part, because I pass that way on a regular basis, and it looks like they've done updates of their own in the past 24 months of new beds, new rails, new ties. So my guess would be their perception is they're taking care of what they need to meet their demands. Anything over and above for passenger, they're not interested in. Is that kind of the play they're making to us?
They've got funding too from the infrastructure bill, so they definitely want some additional funding as it relates to our passenger rail initiative. And so, I mean, those negotiations, they've been very positive, I would say. We have a consultant who came from that system, who knows the people within that system and some very strong relationships. His name is Earl Wacker. He's with RENA Engineering. It was called Patrick Engineering, but we're making good progress there.
I wouldn't characterize it as they're not interested. I think they're interested if it's going to get paid for, not by them.
Right.
My point is they're not interested in contributing more funds of their own, but I'd assume there should be some benefits to them if there's an improved rail line put in, even for the purposes of freight. We have to sell the fact that there's value to them beyond what they have.
That's exactly
correct.
Okay. And then the small communities, because I think the community of Chillicothe has a speed limit today, even for the freight. So these communities that they pass through, I assume you're doing negotiation with them. Otherwise, you kind of lose the value of a high-speed passenger rail if you have to do the whatever that speed limit is for all those little communities.
You definitely have to slow down. I've learned a lot about this over the last 4 years. And we're looking at a line that goes about 90 miles an hour, but then in certain communities, you do have to slow down considerably.
Member McCann.
There's been lots of discussions about a riverfront amphitheater downtown, and how is the positioning of that going to affect the location of a station? And it would seem like that would have a pretty close proximity to the railroad tracks also.
Sure. So the Riverfront Amphitheater, what we've been in discussions with is looking at positioning that just south of the Riverplex. And it would be with the back of the amphitheater kind of facing the river so that the stage would be facing the Murray Baker Bridge and back towards downtown. And yes, the rail lines are very close to the park. They run right through there. In fact, the park's origination was a rail line. I mean, it was all part of the Rock Island rail yards that were there. They should be able to coexist. And as we look at where the train station may end up, if you look at Joliet's train station, there's a baseball stadium right across the street from their station. So I think that the public and people that are enjoying activities can coexist quite nicely, depending on how it's designed.
Any other questions? Thank you, City Manager and Mayor. Thank you for having the belief and the vision to try to pursue this for the Peoria area.
Thank you. We've come too far to turn back now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have, it's actually not on the agenda, but lucky enough today that Lindsay Nance with Taswood could come talk to us about them taking over LIHEAP from the PCCEO and what they're envisioning is. So, which Lindsay did ask us to meet a couple weeks ago and see their vision for what they have. And we thought it would be good for her to come and speak to the group of what their vision is for Peoria. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Dillon, and thank you, board members, for having me here today. My name is Lindsay Nance, and I am the CEO for Taswood Community Services. A little over a month ago, the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity reached out to us after PCCEO was unfortunately defunded of their LIHEAP program to ask if we would be willing to be an emergency provider over this next year. So our agency started immediately getting everything set up so that way there was no lapse in services for the citizens of Peoria County. So what I provided you guys today is just a little bit of background about us. It's important to understand the agency that's going to be providing services in your community. And I just wanted to help prevent any kind of concern or anything like that with another entity providing these services. So our agency, we've been around since 1993 providing LIHEAP, weatherization, and CSBG services. So about 4 years ago, we expanded our territory from just Haswell, Woodford to McLean and Livingston. And so doing this for Peoria County is something that we're going to be able to easily transition into and ensure the customers are served. So the LIHEAP program does officially begin October 1st. So tomorrow will be our official call-in day for customers to be able to schedule appointments. We have been making blasts on Facebook. We've updated our website to ensure customers know what services are available for Peoria County. So for Peoria County, we will be providing LIHEAP, weatherization, and an employment barrier reduction program. The EBRP program runs a lot of services that are similar to our CSBG program. So that's why I left this on here for you guys, because I wanted to make sure that you knew that that was available. Employment barrier reduction program assists customers that have a shutoff notice with their water. They have a rent eviction notice. A lot of different transportation is another big one. To where if somebody's car breaks down and they're either seeking employment or currently working and they're getting, and they have an active case with DHS, so Link, TANF, Medicaid, etc., then they would qualify possibly under the EBRP program. So I just wanted to make people aware that that was going to be available. And customer can just be directed to us. We can screen them for eligibility and see if they qualify. So for our agency last year for LIHEAP, we served over 10,000 customers. I do anticipate that number being about 20,000 with the incorporation of Peoria County. We have opened an office in the city of Peoria. I think that was vital for us to make sure that we had a location here in Peoria County to where customers could be able to apply more locally. One thing that we have for accessibility of services is we allow persons to apply in person or over the phone. We also offer in-person appointments at satellite locations. So there's going to be a few places throughout the community that we are going to take ultimately a mobile office setup where our staff will be there to be able to offer in-person appointments for persons that want to come in person, but they don't want to travel to our office location. Our office is located at 7625 North University. So it is near University and Pioneer Parkway. And ultimately, we had about 7 weeks to find an office space. So the fact that we were able to find one and get one up and running within 5 weeks, I think was a very big feat. We have opened the office to the public already. The phones are working. We've made sure to test everything for tomorrow. So we're very excited to serve the County of Peoria.
Thank you, Lindsay. So super impressed with Tazwood so far. They've already called, reached out, set all this up so that where there is no lapses for our citizens. Lindsay, Peoria County resident, lives and breathes this, started at the bottom in the organization, got a college degree, financial CFO of the organization to now CEO. They have a long track record of producing results, and I think that is a priority that accomplished. So this is a big deal. Kudos to you to get this off the ground in such short time so that the residents don't miss out and we don't miss the funding. So thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah.
Member Duncan.
Hi. In regards to your Peoria office, you said North University and Pioneer Parkway.
Yes.
What is the name of your building, your office or building?
So it's in the University Professional Building. So we are in a suite within that building.
Okay.
Point of reference close to 2 businesses down is the La Peep restaurant where that strip plaza is, and then Hamptons, and then the University Professional Building.
Yes.
On the other side of that's the clothes. It used to be a Steak and Shake, but you can still tell it's Steak and Shake.
Yes. Okay. On that side of it.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. So easily accessible then.
Yes, and it is on a bus route.
Yes. Thank you.
Member Duncan, that is the home office, but they would also have reaches out to the community to other places where to make going to the residents as well.
Correct. We have a contract in place with Neighborhood Ministries, Neighborhood House. We're also working with Tri-County Urban League and the Peoria Housing Authority. For Peoria Housing, we will only be doing their residents, but we're going to work with them to go to each of their 4 big areas, and they are going to work on scheduling their tenants for us so that those tenants do not have to work on trying to get through on our call-in day tomorrow. And we will be going straight to their facilities to be able to provide their assistance. Yeah. And one thing that's very important that I don't know if a lot of Peoria residents know, if they have an apartment or anything like that and their utilities are included in their rent, they are still eligible for services. There is a cash payment that customers can get. And what it does is the state, since the utilities are included in rent, they have to use cash to pay for that rent. So since they can't get a credit onto a gas or electric bill, the state program allows for a cash payment to that customer, which in turn they can use to help pay for their rent. So customers that have utilities either in their name or included in their rent are eligible for services with us.
I have one other question. So therefore, residents, they could easily access the Tazewell Woods CS.org site, or is this something that is known throughout the community as at those various sites?
So I posted a big post on Friday and it's very long, but I believe in transparency. So that is a big thing with me. And so I made sure that when I put the information out there, that it was clear to anybody that they understood how they can apply for services with us, you know, how long the program runs, etc. So when customers come in tomorrow, either in person or over the phone, when they say that they want an in-person appointment, they will be offered to go to one of the satellite locations or to our office here in Peoria.
Which the news media did pick up on it, I believe, last week and did some
Couple
decent
times, yeah.
coverage of showing the new office and interviewing the office manager and staff that's been hired. So there's been a lot of work done in the last 7 weeks or so.
Yes.
So wanted to come share with the group. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sitting through some meetings.
No problem.
The next on the informational items, asked Heather for an update. Mr. Ricker had asked for an update on the American Rescue Plan, the status of the broadband.
Good afternoon. Yes, Member Ricker reached out and asked for an update on the broadband services from the American Rescue Plan Act fund. If you'll recall, the original intent of the board was to contract with either Comcast or one of the internet service providers that would have received a grant from the state of Illinois. With the delay of the grant process and the timing of having to obligate and distribute the ARPA funds, the board pivoted to contracting with Greater Peoria Economic Development Council. And within that contract, there was a payment in the amount the board awarded for $1.67 million. That payment was issued to GPEDC with the understanding that by October 1st of this year, if there hadn't been any progress, the staff from Peoria County and the staff from GPEDC would connect on that and determine what to do, what path forward. So either, figure out where we are in the granting process with the internet service providers. If not confident that that would come through, pivot to another potential route to provide the broadband services, or shift the funds to other ARPA projects that the board wants to do. So we did hear from GPEDC on September 2nd. They informed us the state will publicly announce the awardees on September 23rd, which I believe is today. And then after that, there'll be a week of public comments. And then on the 30th, a week from today, Illinois submits to the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And then between October 1st and December 31st, and a 90-day period, is the review period. Every award is being done at the federal level, both at the agency level and then at the cabinet secretary level. So it could take a little bit of time. And then in early January of 26, the awards will be finalized. And then the deadline to finalize the grant agreements to the awardees is next June 30th. So if you'll recall, the funds all have to be paid out by the end of December of 2026. We've already issued that payment to GPEDC for this intended purpose. So we're not in jeopardy from that regard, but if it depends on what the granting, if Comcast is awarded or another internet service provider within that time frame. So we're just kind of in a waiting period at the moment. That's about all the information I have on that.
Thank you. Questions? Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next, we would be at resolutions. No need for a motion. We are not taking this as a resolution today, but as a discussion item. So for us to digest. So with that, Melissa, you might have the longest title of anybody in the county. Director of Strategic Projects and Capital Planning. That's what's.
Thank you. When I feel lazy, I just say special projects. Feel free to do the same. Thank you for having me. I got the honor of taking the lead after Scott and Shauna led you in a board retreat in March regarding your strategic plan update. And your focus was really on the priorities. Congratulations, 3 of those have already been accomplished. So good work on your part. And focusing on those 19 priorities, of which 3 have been accomplished, and in your discussions, 3 were deprioritized by the group, and another 2 were merged together, seemingly 2 years later, them being so similar. So the path moving forward is to continue with the same strategic priorities, but there was an emphasis in your discussion on, instead of focusing on, not that the focus anymore isn't on accomplishing those goals, but a faster report out of those goals and using metrics to track their progress. So I worked closely with Scott and Shauna on the development of those metrics. And what you have in front of you is an infographic, essentially, of those metrics. There's no data in those metrics right now because the intent is for your all's evaluation of those metrics. The first time you'll see any data related to those metrics are in the draft budget that Heather and her team are preparing for next week. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Member Blair.
2 comments or questions. I see the new metrics. It'd be great to see how those link to the strategic goals, because like podcast listeners, where does that go? And then looking at the infographic, it'd be great if we'll have that up on the website once it's done. But as we're English readers, we tend to see first the upper left-hand corner. I don't know if our podcast is the number 1 metric that we need to show. So if those can go into an order that seems more relevant, that might make more sense to me. So.
Thank you, Member Blair. Member Daley.
I am still very concerned in reviewing this that I don't think the initial work we did coming up with 19 goals makes any sense, nor do I think 12 makes any sense. I mean, I've been through a lot of strategic planning, and generally you end up with 3 to 5 goals, not 19, not 12. And as I look over some of this, and I attended all 3 sessions, the 2 strategic planning meetings, as well as the update, and I don't know. This is not, I just don't feel like this encapsulates what it was that we did there or what we want to do going forward. So I, for one, first of all, there are way too many acronyms in this. And, you know, I mean, I would challenge somebody who isn't in this business to tell me if PCI, the first thing that comes to your mind is pavement control index. I mean, generally, when you do these things, you put the words that stand for the acronym, then the acronym after that. And I think that that also makes it somewhat confusing. In terms of the succession plan, I don't really think we mean that we want succession planning for elected officials. And that's how I read elected leaders here. It says, including elected and appointed. I mean, that sounds like we're getting involved in political campaigns or designating people to run for office. I don't think that has any business in our strategic goals. So I just think this needs a lot more discussion.
Thank you, Member Daly. Member Ricker?
Yeah, I would echo every comment that Member Daley made. And I have to admit, I was one of the board members 3, 4, 5 years ago, along with my friend here, asking for strategic plan. You know, we've gone through this for the last few years, kind of feel like we're not making a lot of progress. So I'm not sure how much energy, quite frankly, I want to consume with the board continuing where we're at on this particular, because to me, a strategic plan should be 3 to 5 and items, something that's easily to present to all of us, to all of the employees of the county, and more importantly, to the public. So when the public looks at what are the 3 or 4 things that the county is focused on, and how are they doing? And they need to be able to look at that in a matter of 60 seconds and go, oh, I get it. They're doing well on these 2, and they're still working on those 2. So I'm not sure where to go, but I guess maybe in hindsight, probably shouldn't have pursued this. So I don't know where else to go. I apologize, but it's encumbering and it doesn't work for me. Thank you.
What's
Yes, just to remind everyone as well, as part of the strategic plan that isn't rehashed here is the indicators, financial stability, infrastructure maintenance and improvements, community investment, communications and marketing, regional and intergovernmental collaboration, workforce and organizational development that all these strategic plans kind of roll up into. There is opportunity to add more context to those as well in creating complete sentences that bolster, you know, maybe increased community investment or something along those lines.
So this time we're looking for some feedback on this. So through our strategic planning, we actually have what would be considered 5 goals. And then we actually then have, these are the work plans, basically short, long term, which there is a lot. And if you look through some of them, I mean, like the planning and the budget of the comprehensive land use plan, that basically has started. So that was one of the things that we wanted to see move forward. These can be tweaked. We did always had on the, me and Member Daly had a good conversation today. It's probably, we used to have Mr. Sumac start our conversations, and that was very deep dive, intense for those that can remember Mr. Sumac. I believe at one point we've had a Bradley professor, then we went back to another professor, then we had the last go around Northern, kind of like our auditors. Every once in a while, it's probably good to rotate who comes in for the strategic plans. This was basically for us to come up with some ideas to put forward. Melissa had a very tough task of compiling it. I'm assuming watching the video over and over since she was not hired at that point to try to create this. So I think that that probably is something in the future that we need to look at is who is the next person, because it is good group sessions for us to try to define where we want this county to go. And what are the 5 priority goals that we have listed that are usually we try to define? Sorry to put you on the spot.
So the five goals that that you've adopted, which I would say the branding or the wording to use to describe them is were originally was strategic priorities, but in essence they are goals. And that that's financial stability, capital asset stewardship, community investment and engagement, regional and intergovernmental collaboration, and then one related to organizational culture. We talked a little bit about strong, but some board members during the retreat felt like that was an inappropriate word because it might send the wrong message. So we've still got a wordsmith a word to describe organizational culture other than strong organizational culture. But those are the 5 goals. What NIU, when they worked with us, defined as goals are really work plans, and there originally were 19 of those, and Melissa walked through that. We've eliminated or combined a number of those, and then the metrics, which is what you asked us to go look at then, were things that will help you, the board, and the organization define and measure whether or not we're doing a good job with achieving each of those goals, or we're not doing a good job in achieving those goals. And so that's the framework that we tried to lay out. We'll obviously go back and take another crack at it. And I think while much of the board has turned over since we used Mr. Sumac, I think many of you are familiar with it, and it'll be a format that's maybe a little bit easier to digest for the board.
And so as we start looking forward to the next strategic planning to go there, one of the main drivers of this conversation was it's really an impossible task of asking to measure some unmeasurables. So this is really a starting point when we asked, how do we measure that? So I do believe Melissa was asking, this is basically an ask for some feedback of what is the board actually looking for, how to track that. If pavement maintenance, we typically have a good one, and you can remember Kelch's roads, for example. Like the county does have much better roads, and if you go to other counties or to other areas, is that something we want to show as a deliverable to the constituents? This was basically trying to make it easier to share with our constituents what the county actually does. So I think we're open for feedback on this to try to make a something that we can deliver to the public. So, and then if we want to transition every few years, we do transition to a new strategic planning. I think that is open for suggestions. And if we bring in, Mr. Sumac was very good, very detailed. We used him for a considerable amount of years, but then in that point, nothing against Sumac, Mr. Sumac, it got stale even on there. So then we wanted to decide. So I appreciate Linda calling today to talk through this. And it was the conversation of, as we rotate auditors, we probably should have a rotation of strategic planners to move through for different perspectives and ideas to get there. So with this, really what I'm asking at this point would be for feedback to Administrator Sorrell and Administrator Woods for feedback on this, how to make this, what our goals moving them forward. Fair? Questions, comments? Member Daly?
I didn't mean that I don't enjoy looking at pavement condition indexes. I look at IDOT all the time. I look at all their maps, and they have them all colored, horrible, can't drive on it, drives like a dream. I mean, but my point was PCI, that is a very common acronym for payment card industry. and how you process credit cards. So I'm looking at that as an acronym and thinking, oh my God, we have a problem with payment of credit cards and how they're processed. But then I get through it and I figure out, okay, it's payment condition indexes. So, again, my concern about this is every employee should know what is important, to be focused on, as well as the community. I don't think anybody can do that some people would say anything above 3, but I would take 5. And again, that's what I was trying to communicate.
Thanks, Member Daly. Member Blair? And Administrator Wood, you probably had started yet when we had the debate over HHS campus and Member Daly's disdain for acronyms.
Well,
in a good way.
I think also, as we look at metrics, I'm for metrics, but whenever you have them, resources will go towards increasing or decrease, whatever is the value for that metric. And so we need to be careful about what metrics we put on there as we look at that, so that we're making sure that we're not putting resources towards something that's not what we should. So let's make sure that we pick the right metrics on that.
All right. So our task is, if you have something that you would like to change on this or suggestions, please get that back to administration. And then we will work towards the next variation of strategic planning. All right. Seeing none, thank you. That might be the longest executive informational items I think we've ever had. Oh, well, that's actually resolutions, but discussion, standing committees. Infrastructure, Member Salzer.
And 3 of them
Oops, sorry.
you got me all types.
Sorry, member. Well, can we just bring it back to another time, or do I actually need to postpone it? Do I need to do that? Is this a discussion item? It's listed as a resolution. Sorry, but I just made an executive decision to make it a discussion item only. Okay. And then we'll bring it back when it's corrected. I don't know if we would have a date to bring it back. Okay. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Never mind. No motions. Yeah. Okay. Member Salzer.
All right. The Infrastructure Committee met, and we had 4 resolutions, and the first 3 had to do with PJ Hare, who, if you remember, Kyle Smith reminded everybody yesterday, and I think everybody was on the board during December of last year, 24, when we adopted PJ Hare as being our construction, so that they would serve as construction management services for us. And 3 of them that Kyle presented to us, we acted on yesterday. The first one, as you see it there, has to do with our parking deck over here on Jefferson and Hamilton. And that particular situation is our stairwells are in bad shape and they need to be repaired. And so the first thing you're going to say, how much is it going to cost us and where we're going to get the money? Well, we're going to get the money from the fund balance of the parking deck. And our fund balance in that is over $4 million. If you read some of the information that we received. The situation is that PJ Hare will try and get us, the best deals they can in doing the work over there. We have, of course, 2 of them there on Jefferson. two on Jefferson, one on uh, Hamilton, and the other one, of course, has to do with coming in off of the Packard building, if you know where that is. Anyway, the cost of that entire project is going to be $427,000. But like I said, we're not worried about it because we got $4 million in the fund balance of the parking garage funds, so everything's pretty safe. The second resolution there is going to deal with the replacement of a boiler, and that's out at the Fleet Garage, and it's been badly needed. The guys have played nursemaid too long, and we don't want to see something happen. And plus, as bad weather develops, you can't ask these guys to work under terrible conditions. I didn't know it was so bad until Chairman Dillon went out there and looked and came back and told me about it, and it is in bad shape. So the boiler is going to cost us, I got to look here just a second, $231,000. Now, we're going to take care of that through our capital project fund, is what we're going to do, how we're going to take care of that. Our third resolution, the jail kitchen, and people who have been out there know what terrible condition that is in, and we are looking, of course, to update it in many ways, but much of that update is going to be permanent. And this particular project is going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think, $347,000. And the sheriff, through his management of his own budget, he's going to pay for that out of his 25 budget. And the last one, many of you are here to hear Amy make a presentation in regard to the township motor fuel tax, and she said they weren't able to really know at the end of 24 what all of the projects were that the township road commissioners and the others in the use of the township motor fuel tax really were going to need, and so to take care of the problems that they solved and so forth, and did work on. She's recommending that we take $800,000 from the fund balance, and the first thing you guys will probably ask, well, how much is their fund balance? Their fund balance, I asked Heather today, and she said it's $1.7 million. So we're going to take $800,000. We're going to put that take it out of the fund balance, put it into the regular township motor fuel tax, and they will take as needed. And of course, as you know, Amy's been awfully good at being, a policeman of our funds and so forth. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Member Salzer. Questions from Member Salzer? Member Salzer, I think, was it Member Couch brought up about the boiler that included split units as well. If we ever do, that was on our plans to try to, for that building, that would potentially be, Kyle's been talking with the team, that would be a piece of equipment that could be transferred to a new building on our planning. So that was an important piece that I think, not to interrupt you, Member Salzer, but good point. Any questions? Seeing none, Ways and Means, Member Duncan.
Okay, the Ways and Means Committee had two resolutions. The first one was for the delinquent taxes, September 2025, and there were 23 items, and the vote passed unanimously. And then the second resolution was in regards to the intergovernmental agreement with Limestone Township. The issue was that the authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Limestone Township for the purpose of Peoria County providing assessment service for the township, and that vote passed unanimously. And that's it.
Thank you, Member Duncan. Questions for Member Duncan? Seeing none. Member Rosenbaum, land use?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one resolution, it was a land split. They're going to divide 5.25 acres from a 12.5 acre tract to build a house on. The only discussion basically on it was they were going to be a shared well, and we discussed whether or not they should have maybe a well maintenance agreement on that, but it was just a discussion amongst the members, passed unanimously, and as of right now, both tracts will be owned by family members.
Thank you, Member Rosenbaum. Questions? Seeing none. Operations, Member Ricker?
Yeah, we had two resolutions. The first was the 2026 health insurance premiums and subsidy rates for our employees. And the short is, we contracted with IPBC to be our insurance carrier a year ago, or for this year on a contract. We worked with the Health Insurance Advisory Committee to develop that. So this is the first year of making a rate adjustment. The rate adjustment averaged 9.1% increase in premium, and not every premium's at 9.1. Some would be down in the 7, and some will be up close to 11, depending on which package. There's different options, and if it's single, couple, or family. So that was previewed, or not previewed, that was gone through in great detail with the Health Insurance Advisory Committee a week ago. So that committee saw these numbers, went through those. And we also have the subsidy rates. So we have agreed in the past years, and we continue to subsidize the family rate because it is such a high rate. We've done that for a few years, and we're going to continue providing a subsidy to keep that rate in line with what we think it should be for our employees. So that did pass unanimously. So it'll come to the board meeting next month, and then in November, the enrollment for our employees for health insurance, the annual enrollment will take place in mid-November. So the timing is good. We had a lot of good feedback from employees that liked what we had this year. They liked the improvements to have Blue Cross Blue Shield as a provider in the background, the ability to select more providers. In the past, they were limited to working with Carl. Now they can use OSF or Carl. A lot more opportunities for providers. So I think it's a real plus for employees. But the second item on the resolution was a one-time lump sum health savings account contribution. We did that last year with the employees. So the employees who are on the high deductible plan, qualified high deductible plan under state law, are allowed to have a health savings account. And we contributed last year $500 for a single, $1,000 for a two, and then for a family it was $1,500. No, it was 500. Sorry, thank you. Thanks for clarifying. 750, 1,000, and 1,500. So the ask is to carry that forward in 2026, having those support from HSA. It helps the employee have another option when they're looking at which package to choose. And that was approved unanimously. Any questions?
Seeing none, thanks, Member Ricker. Health, Member Renault.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did not have any resolutions.
Thank you, Member Renault. Member Allison, Public Safety and Justice.
We had 5 resolutions. We had an organized retail crime grant, which supports existing subscriptions to address retail crime at $31,000. We had the juvenile redeploy grant, which supports contracts with Family Court and Human Service Center. These funds support like a therapist for the families involved in both probation and youth court. That grant was for $370,000. We had the Juvenile Justice Council grant in the amount of $128,000 to fund the statutorily recommended counsel, which brings the community and criminal justice system together regarding the youth outcomes. We had a bid award for the probation and court services electronic monitoring service. The annual costs are not to exceed $75,000. There were 5 responses. 3 of them met the criteria, and it's the current vendor that's being utilized, recommended. And the 5th resolution was the closure of the mortgage foreclosure fund, which was established in 2011. The purpose was to assist homeowners, and there is currently a remaining fund balance of around $1,700, and that amount will go to the law library for use by homeowners with questions. That's everything.
Questions? Thanks. Seeing none, thanks, Member Allison. Member Williams, Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a joint resolution with infrastructure. Member Salzer explained that on the additional $800,000 that's going to go into the Township Motor Fuel Tax Fund for additional work that the road commissioners are doing. We also had Heather let us know that the budgets are going to be ready for us in about a week. So we'll be getting those pretty quickly so we can start reviewing.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, thank you. Next, that would bring us to public comment. Seeing none, miscellaneous. Start with Member Salzer. Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott, can you bring up that on that home field energy thing that we were talking about? I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, sure. For the members' benefit, Mr. Rosenbaum and I had a conversation yesterday about electric municipal aggregation. For those of you that were on the board at the time, when the referendum was placed before the voters and approved by the voters, we had to pick a lane, so to speak, opt in or opt out. The county, along with every municipality within the county that also put it on the ballot at the same time, and several surrounding county and municipal governments throughout central Illinois selected the opt-out option for that program, and that's what the voters did approve. There are some of Mr. Rosenbaum's constituents have been asking him about why can't it be opt-in? The answer to that question is because the referendum was approved by the voters, said it was opt-out. To change would necessitate going before the voters again, and would drastically change probably the pricing that would become available when those contracts would come up, because the pricing that is made available to our ratepayers in the unincorporated areas and those municipalities where they've also passed a similar referendum is based on the total number of customers that there are, less some statistical averages for how many people might opt out, which is a much higher number than you would get if it was an opt-in program, because of the effort necessary for someone to actually opt
to choose to opt in voluntarily. So the program, based on how the voters approved it, is set up as opt out, and unless you want to put it to the voters again, there's really no way to change it.
Good question, Member Rosenbaum. Member Allison?
On the home field topic, and I believe you have until September 30th to opt out if that was the option you selected.
I believe that date is correct, yes. I need to look at my own notice at home.
Also, don't forget our block party is coming up, and we would love to have everyone there with their family and friends and promote it on any social media or work networks you may have, because we'd love to see everyone from Peoria County showing up for this.
Speaking of that, Member Renault, Member Allison, when are we expecting the volunteer sign-up sheet to go out for the board for like times or where? Did we already get it?
Yeah, Gretchen sent an email out.
I guess I didn't get it.
You'll get it. You'll get it today.
Oh, okay.
Now you will. Again.
Okay.
It's in the mail. Checks in the
Yeah.
mail.
Okay. Member Duncan? Coach Phelan? Member Ruin?
For the record, I got that email yesterday, and it was from Tim Shelley, not from Gretchen. So, yeah.
Okay. Member Cam? All right. Seeing none, meeting adjourned.